it's making my head spin. Just recently, we've had Gina Carano, we've had Marilyn Manson, we've had Arnie Hammer, we've had Josh Whedon, who's pretty much finished now, and tangentially, just because Josh Whedon has now, been, disgraced, it means comic writer Jeff Johns, who was also part of the complaint that Ray Fisher, the person who did it, had made against him, that Jeff Johns, just by being part of the complaint with Josh Whedon, because someone's proved Josh Whedon did terrible things, it means now that, of course, Jeff Johns also did those terrible things and is responsible for them and is also cancelled. So obviously, some of those people who have been cancelled have been cancelled for better reasons, i.e. Marilyn Manson definitely has been cancelled for much more. Hello, by the way, anyone who's viewing, please like, subscribe, and comment. If you make any comments, I will definitely respond to them. But even Marilyn Manson, who's been cancelled recently, has been cancelled in ways that have jumped the gun a bit, because essentially Marilyn Manson has been fired, dropped from his label before formal charges have actually been made, rather than say something like suspended, which would be the better thing to do, because obviously you can't have him going around representing your company while he's being accused of serious allegations like rape. But nonetheless, you would think that before without knowing the full story and hearing his side, that they would suspend him rather than fire him. Have a proper investigation into everything that happened and everything that led towards that. Which brings me to Gina Carano. Now, Gina Carano, I'm going to say straight off the bat, the things that Gina Carano has been saying and doing recently are not things that I necessarily agree with. She's going to start again, I suppose, the pronoun community, and there was something, I don't know much about it, but definitely there was something going on with I don't really understand this. It was the trans community were asking her to correct her pronouns, which doesn't make a lot of sense to me. But she replied that she doesn't want to, and it's her bio, she shouldn't have to, which I actually agree with. And then finally they forced her forced her hand, and she put her pronoun as B-bop boop, which was supposed to be some kind of funny thing, but it was taken as transphobic, even though she said she supports trans people. So I don't know about that. That issue aside. And then she also posted something which I definitely don't agree with, which was something against the use of masks during the pandemic. And she said, I don't know, again, there was, something she said about this. It was just, maybe something about not using masks, or I don't know. And again, this was not a good thing to do, but again, this was her opinion. So I don't see that as a fireable offense. And I'm going to give you an example as to why I don't see that as a fireable offense. And then finally, she apparently crossed the line today with what she said, or yesterday with what she said online, and has summarily been fired by Disney. Now, obviously, this isn't. This is kind of a freedom of speech discussion, because we should be able to speak freely and say our opinions in the public arena. But ultimately, a private company does have the right to fire you if you do something that goes against their image or core values, even outside of work, right? So if you get into a fight, punch somebody, do something criminal, or say something that is completely outrageous, even if it isn't illegal, it's completely outrageous and hateful or inciting of violence or racist or something like that, then they do have the ability to fire you because it goes against the core values of the company. That being said, even in that arena, there are certain workers' rights that one should have, which protects them against being unduly fired for going against the image. If it's just, say, because if it's just something that is, a current political hot topic that you have an opinion on that goes against what, I don't know, the general company, or may offend certain people, that really is none of the company's business. You can't put within a worker's contract that you can never offend anybody, unless you say, oh, you're not allowed to go on social media or something like that. But as soon as you say you can go on social media and state your opinions freely, that's not something that's against company policy, then it would make sense and it would follow that you are then able to state your own opinions on, matters that are of public interest. So let's look at what she said, and then we'll go back into talking about that. So the Mandalorian actress said, Jews were beaten in the streets, not by Nazi soldiers, but by their neighbors, even by children, because history is edited. Most people today don't realize that to get to the point where Nazi soldiers could easily round up thousands of Jews, the government first made their own neighbors hate them simply for being Jews. How is that any different from hating someone for their political views? Now, there's a lot to unpack in this sentence. First, we must clarify what she's talking about, because what people are saying and what they're trying to suggest that is extremely offensive is that Gina Carano basically was stating, trying to make some equivalency. Yeah, Spectre Entertainment, true. What's up, bro? Thanks for watching. By the way, feel free to join if you want, Spectre. I can send you the link. But what she was actually saying, and this is very crucial, is she wasn't just comparing genocide of the to what's going on in America at the moment. She's saying that conservatives are being targeted, and she feels that having conservative views nowadays is a potential threat to your position in society and stuff like this. What she's actually talking about here is not comparing a one-to-one of the Holocaust to that. What she's talking about is what preempted the Holocaust, the things prior to that event actually happening. So she's talking about pogroms, right? So this was when, first it started in Germany, then when they moved over to Poland and other countries, and invaded them, what they would do is they would heighten and encourage the Jewish paranoia and anti-Semitism amongst those communities, and get those communities to attack their own people first. Now, I've heard another person say, well, imagine if she said, that it wasn't, like, say, for instance, in slavery, that it wasn't white people who, it wasn't white people's fault, it was other black people who helped the slavers. Again, this isn't the equivalent to what she's saying. The equivalent to what she's saying is when the government of America, right, was convincing poorer white people, or the government of those people had a vested interest from slavery, poorer white to that they of their racial superiority, allowing them, or giving them the kind, and emboldening them to attack blacks, right? Because of their supposed racial superiority, and then the law and those in power not doing anything against those people being attacked. So I just want to go on and read what Spectre Entertainment said. I read her post. She was comparing how Nazis turned neighbors against Jews by normalizing hating them, which is dramatic example, but still kind of correct. It's normal to bash and hate Republicans. And what's up, bro? Yeah, thank you, Spectre. That's exactly the point I'm trying to make. What she was comparing it to was the actual early days of the pogroms. Now, do I think this was, kicking a hornet's nest, and perhaps she should have used something like a McCarthyism as a better example? To compare one-to-one what's happening supposedly in America right now? Absolutely. I also believe, to be fair, that there is bad behavior on both sides, that what's really eating up cultures at the moment across the world is the rampant kind of divisiveness and an inability to simply have discourse amongst people with different opinions without it turning into, crazy hate, on the internet. I'll give an example, on the other side, right, where you have bad behavior of, I don't know, I'm not going to speculate on what the race of the people are who have been doing this, but people who have been attacking, racial diversity within Star Wars. So they go online and bully and attack and prod, people who were starring in the Star Wars. So much so that I think one of the Asian stars of Star Wars had to quit social media altogether because she couldn't deal with the bullying anymore. The same thing happened also when it came to Captain Marvel. Now, I'm not a big fan of the Captain Marvel actress or Captain Marvel as a film, but the amount of hate, YouTube, channels and all of this that were covering her and calling her all sorts of things and calling her an ist and, and a sexist and all of this kind of thing, were essentially, thank you. Yeah, excellent point on McCarthyisms. That's what came to my mind as well. Exactly, Spectre. So the amount of people, by the way, feel free, as I said, to join. I think if I put this link in, you can join and we can discuss this. I don't know. If you don't want to, no pressure. But I think that's the link you can use. I believe. If not, tell me. Maybe because I haven't got people to join before. So I've kind of lost what I was saying. But yeah, so the thing that she's talking about here, in terms of, the Captain Marvel thing is the bad behavior on the other side, where you have loads and loads of YouTube channels dedicated to hating on a particular person, because she said one thing. She said, and it was kind of stupid and kind of arrogant what she said at the time. But she had a point about, critics and how there should be much more mixed and give opportunities to critics of. Yes, that should happen. She could have said it in a much better way, but does that mean that you want to dedicate, channel after channel and literally attempting to bring down? Thank you. Yeah, you were talking about Brie bashing. Thank you. Yeah, thanks, man. So literally attempting to bring down Brie Larson and the Captain Marvel film before it came out. So there's really, really bad behavior on both sides. And I do agree with you that there is also this attempt at cancel culture, really, that is been spearheaded by the left, which is deeply, deeply problematic at the moment. So the thing that I would say to really clarify the problem I have with this, because again, what she's talking about is actually true. She hasn't said anything racist. All she's done is made a comparison that some people may think is just not equivalent to one another, right? But let's imagine goes online, who works for Disney, and compared the people who charged the Capitol building and said those guys are a bunch of fascists, right? Would Disney have fired the people who said that? They said the people who stormed the Capitol building are a bunch of fascists. Now, we know all the people who stormed the Capitol building are not just a bunch of fascists. Yes, there are some people who have, opinions that I can't even begin to comprehend why they would have done that and why they thought that was appropriate. And yeah, probably some of them are pretty, if they were ruling government or something like that, it would look something a little bit like, fascism, maybe of the Mussolini variety or something like that. But nonetheless, a big group of those people are just, I don't know what they are. They're agent provocateurs or something like that, who were just Trump supporters. Trump was like some cult leader to them or whatever. And they just believed that the election had been stolen from them. And that's why they were doing that. Right. So if somebody had have come out, I don't know, the Captain American actor, and he had have said, this is a bunch of fascism, what's going on at the Capitol building. These guys are Nazis, right? Would he have been fired for that particular post online? That's what I ask anybody who believes that Gina Carano should have been fired. Now, again, freedom of speech is something that you can't always rely on in these situations, because it is a private organization and it is about, the image that they're presenting. And if what she has done, they feel contravenes the image of Disney, right? And they don't want to deal with it. So they feel the best thing is to distance themselves from her. That being said, there are still workers' rights. And I'm sure, I hope that Gina Carano has, can appeal to a civil court at least to discuss unfair dismissal, because we still have to have the right to be able to have our opinions, no matter how much I might disagree with. I do disagree with a lot of what she said there, but I also don't believe that is a racist statement. It is not a racist statement. And people saying, oh, well, what if because they try and say this to me because I'm black, and they assume that, making the equivalency between what happened to blacks, that this will crystallize it for me and I'll see why it's racist. It still wouldn't be racist, because what she would be saying is if the white government and the white slave owners who were owning the big plantations and becoming millionaires from it, or billionaires from it, the way they convinced the working class white people to go along with this system was by propagating this idea of the racial superiority of whites, and they therefore encourage those people to beat, kill, rape, do all kinds of things to black people. And that is true. That is how that system started and worked and became so egregious. It is the same with the Nazis. They needed the support of the people, and they played upon people's anti-Semitism and got them to attack their neighbors and destroy Jewish businesses. Those were the pogroms. That is what she's talking about, and that's what she's comparing it to. She is not saying that Republicans or right-wing people are being, right now, anything comparable is happening to them than being rounded up and taken to concentration camps. That's not what she's saying, and it's very, very important that we mention that. That's basically what I have to say about the whole Gina Carano situation. It's, I think that even as a left-wing person, it's very, very important that, those of us who are left-wing, I'm not like super left-wing, I'm just, left of center or something like that. But even those of us who are left-wing who don't necessarily agree with what Gina Carano had to say, it is important for us to stand up, because it is a slippery slope what is happening at the moment. I want to go on to talk about the rest of the Arnie Hammer situation, because I think there's some similar things going on. Well, not similar. I think there are things going on in that are also a slippery slope, that we need to say, this is our line, right? And this is what we'll accept. If you must cancel people, if that's the way you don't think people can grow, people can develop, people can learn from discussion, from whatever, if you must cancel people, we must have at least a line that we draw on both left and the right wing side, whatever you are, that says this is unacceptable to do to anybody, right? And what's particularly alarming is so you saw people comparing Gina to Josh Whedon, saying have fun in the unemployment line. I know, and I was just talking about Josh Whedon, which is a really other interesting one, which I'm gonna So I was talking about Josh Whedon as well, Spectre, and the interesting thing about that case, which nobody is talking about at the moment, if you watched Beyond the Trailer and the way they were discussing what happened to Josh Whedon. Immediately now that Josh Whedon has been proven, or not proven, he hasn't even been proven yet. Let's be clear. He simply, some allegations have come out against him, most of which are along the lines of him being an asshole, and I don't know if they're worthy of canceling him, as opposed to, having, some kind of financial compensation for the people, if it's proved that what they're saying is correct, that they should be financially compensated for what he did to them. But so there was some vague statement by one of the other cast members of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, basically stating that he did inappropriate things to her when she was younger, but nothing else. So it was a very Ray Fisher-esque type of allegation. Then there was the really, really good, detailed, the one that I approve of, detailed account that Charisma Carpenter did, which outlined some things which I think, hey, put on your big girl pants and you should be able to deal with. But some things that I thought, wow, okay, if he did that while she was pregnant, and after she gave birth, that this is absolutely horrible, and it's not cancelable. He isn't Harvey Weinstein for doing it, but it certainly is alarming, and it gives some weight to what Ray Fisher was saying about the Josh Whedon with regards to Justice League. What isn't being said, and this is very, very important, is the tarnishing of Josh Whedon has now moved on to Jeff Johns. And this is what, you know, people like Beyond the Trailer were saying, that now that Josh Whedon has been outed and people have come out against him, and still till this day no one has come out and said anything that Jeff Johns has done. But nonetheless, we are in a situation now where Jeff Johns is just tarnished with the same brush, right? And that to me is very, very alarming. According to Ray Fisher, all that Jeff Johns did was enable the bad behavior at first, and then it went on to Jeff Johns sending racist notes, Jeff Johns doing this, that, and the other. So I doubt Joss is an asshole, and I believe I saw her say those things about Whedon before, not in detail like that. So I don't know. Why do you doubt he's an asshole? Because I think there were three things that came out about Josh Whedon. Two of them are just nonsensical, and I don't have any time for. One was the stuff about his wife's allegations towards him, which I thought were, you know, like his wife basically had an allegation that, you know, that he was just I don't doubt. Okay, I see. I've got you. So the allegations are, one, he had an allegation towards that his wife said basically that he cheated on her and he's an asshole, and all his feminist stuff, because he called himself a male feminist. All of that stuff is bullshit. That is meaningless to me. Then there was some stuff about him writing a sexist version of a Wonder Woman screenplay, which I read, by the way, and because I'm a comic book nerd and I'm a screenwriter, and I read that, by the way, and yeah, there was a few problematic things here and there, but altogether it was just a bad screenplay, and I'm glad it never was made by Warner Brothers, because it would have been a terrible introduction to Wonder Woman to the world. But nonetheless, that being said, it was just a bad screenplay. And then the third thing is the Charisma Carpenter pregnancy thing. And that to date is the only serious allegation that has ever been made about Josh Whedon, right? That's it. What Charisma Carpenter said. Now, two other people from the cast have come out and said similar things about Josh Whedon. The main actress, I can't remember her name. I'm blanking on her name. The main actress, if you can remind me, Spectre, let me know. But the main actress of Buffy the Vampire Slayer came out and just basically said she doesn't even want to talk about it. So she hasn't accused him of anything. She's just said, I don't want anything to do with it. I doubt the John stuff, because, like you were saying, nobody has really come out against Johns. You had Hamada actually defend Johns. Nobody has defended Whedon. Right, exactly. And yeah, I think both of us, because I watch your channel, Spectre, and I'm actually a big fan of your channel, because I think you're very open-minded to see both perspectives, even though you're a huge Snyder fan. You are open to see the other side of things, and I've always wanted to debate you on Man of Steel, because I really like Batman v Superman, but I don't like the Man of Steel. I've always wanted to debate you on that, because I think we'd have a lot of agreement on. I'd like to talk about Batman v Superman first, because I think we'll have a lot of agreement on that. But where we disagree is Man of Steel. But anyway, maybe one day. But I'm a big fan of your channel, so thank you for talking. And I always think you're open-minded about these things, and I appreciate it. But yes, you're absolutely correct. The Jeff Johns stuff, it just, nothing has really of substance come out, apart from maybe he turned into a bit of a tyrant and an asshole when he was doing the Justice League. Yeah, no problem, man. Yeah, maybe he was a bit of an arsehole when doing Justice League, but nothing beyond that has come out to suggest that, you know, he was anything more than a tyrant and an asshole, and he was fired for it. So, you know, the big person who I don't think anybody has ever disagreed on was Josh Whedon, because we'd heard the things about Charisma Carpenter and what she'd said before. But that does not mean now that you can just, you know, one, without Josh Whedon being able to respond to any of this, completely cancel him from society because he made that mistake, unless some other allegations come out by the other actress who, you know, who basically stated that he did inappropriate things to her when she was underage. If some substance comes to that, then we can start talking. I don't believe in canceling anyway. I believe in going through the law, going through due process, and doing kind of thing. But even by the logic and standard, as low as it's getting of the current day cancel culture, I think Gina Carano and even Josh Whedon, for what they've been accused of, is a huge stretch. It's just immoral, bad behavior. We can't go around shunning people from society because they did an asshole thing. If we went around doing that, we would all be cancelled. That's the fact of it. I know, like, I've done things in past, you know, I don't think I've ever done things as well, I don't know, you know, like it's hard to say, because the bar is set so you know, low, that you don't know. Like I've spent most of my life being a nice, respectful kind of person, but was I at any point like a real asshole to somebody, you know, I worked with or whatever? Yes. So I just don't think you can go around canceling people for that kind of behavior. And I'll finish, you know, just with the obvious kind of parable that is often told in these situations: those without sin throw the first stone. So there are things in, you know, in our culture and you know, in our society, modern day society, that we can look back retrospectively and say, you know, that was horrible and that shouldn't happen anymore. But we have to remember also the times in which these things happened. So Josh Whedon was the 90s. Gina Carano is somebody who's, you know, comes out of an age where, you know, this whole pronouns thing is very, very new to people of a certain age, right? Like, and it's very, very confusing to people of a certain age. So certain people just don't get it and they rebel against it. We have no problem, or sorry, I'm not saying me, but if you're like over 30 or something like that, and you're not in that community and you don't know about these things, there is no problem in us saying that a man who transitions to a woman, we will now call them by the pronoun she or her, or, you know, etc. But a woman who, you know, but a woman who transitions into a man, he, you know, but it's this blurry line in between of, you know, we want gender neutral pronouns that people, you have to give people some time to acclimatize to, and you have to be able to say, look, let me explain to you why we want this, and let's have a discussion so that we can be respectful, rather than just saying, no, all of a sudden you have to just respect what we say. We don't care if it's difficult linguistically for you to understand, and, you know, we're just going to make you say it, or you be fired, or you be shunned from society and called a homophobe. I think that's wrong. For the left or the right to do that is wrong. And I think what's happened to Gina Carano in that sense is despicable. And even the stuff she said, which I fully disagree with, she was questioning whether we should be wearing masks or not. Even that is not bad enough. That's just an opinion. That is not bad enough for us to then go and shun the woman from society. We can discuss, we can say you're wrong, your opinion's invalid, but it's not enough. And then finally, this one, which isn't even, it's a comparison that either you agree with the comparison or you don't agree with the comparison. You can say the comparison is not accurate, but is the comparison offensive? Not when you look at the details of it. When you look at the details of the comparison, you can see what she is trying to say. You may not agree with that, but that is it. It's not offensive. You're only offended if you want to be offended. That is an opening for debate, i.e., right-wing people are actually treated like that in today's society. Let's discuss. Right? That's as far as you should take it. Anyway, again, I want to cut this video off so that it doesn't go on too long. But thank you, Spectre, for commenting. And it's really nice to have you on the channel. Hopefully, yeah, I'd love to talk to you one day about Man of Steel. But I'd more like to talk to you about stuff that we both love first, because I think we share a lot of the same opinions on the DCEU versus the MCU, which I'm not a big fan of. So we should discuss things we love, and then maybe later we can discuss the Man of Steel and get really pissed at each other. All right, so thanks so much. And anybody else, please like, subscribe, discuss what do you think of the Gina Carano situation. I know I've gone on a bit of a tangent because I've been discussing with Spectre here, but what do you think of the Gina Carano situation? Is it fair? Peace, man. Is it fair what's happened to her, or do you think that I've missed the point somewhere? All right, thanks again. Have a good one. Bye, Spectre.